grade times to professors. So you know that I have an honorary doctorate from Barry University. So I am Dr. Joy Taylor.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's what's up.
Yeah, what's up? I'll give my grade after
that's
you teach
what's
them.
up.
Oh, that's what's up. Yes, yeah. But I'll get my grade after. I'll save my doctorate grade for after that. What's your grade?
On Aaron, a C.
On Aaron Rodgers.
It's a C. I mean, he was a little rusty, you could tell. But he made some throws that made you kind of look back and say, I think he's going to be all right. And I was watching his drop steps and just kind of looking at his body movement and just trying to see if, in fact, he'll get back to where he was several years ago. And I strongly believe that he will. Anytime you have a major injury, whether it's an ACL, Achilles, anything like that, it takes you a little bit of time to get used to some things, especially when you don't play in the preseason. So he had to stick his toe in the water to gauge the temperature. Before you knew it, though, the game was out of reach. So you have to take him out of the game. You don't let him stay in there to have an opportunity to get beat up a little bit more. He was fine. The rest of the team, that's a different story. But as far as he goes, it was a C. He was fine. Yeah,
I'm giving him a C also. The team gets a D, but I'll give him a C. He had moments where he looked like himself. That one pass to Lazard was that smooth Aaron Rodgers putting it in the perfect place.
Back shoulder to Garrett Wilson on the left-hand side was perfect. A deep in-cut. Garrett Wilson, laser-focused throw. I mean, there was some stuff. Yeah, there was some stuff. There's moments where he looked like himself. He's always very publicly frustrated when things don't go perfectly, so he got right back to that as well. A very, very solid eye roll Aaron Rodgers has. Oh, he got one of the best eye rolls.
He has a legendary eye roll, like down, packed, immediately. They couldn't run the ball. Obviously, we'll get into what they did offensively as a whole, but he looked like I expected him to look, so I'm going to give him a C. He had his moment, they had their drive, but he could have been better. Paul, where are you at with Aaron Rodgers?
All right. Based on, originally I thought C, but based on the expectations, based on this is Aaron Bleepin' Rodgers. And like he said a few days ago, when you bring Aaron Rodgers over, you're trying to go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I gave him a D.
Okay.
He gets a D.
That's kind of
I mean, no. But we talking about expectations here. And this is Aaron Rodgers. And if we talking about MVP Aaron Rodgers, legendary, you hold him to a higher standard than anybody else. Anybody else with these numbers is a C. But Aaron Rodgers, for Aaron Rodgers, this is a D.
I'm glad I don't have your class.
Key, if you had to have my class 3 years ago, this would have been an F.
Professor P.
But no, that's just a D. You know, he didn't look comfortable in the pocket. He looked ginger. You know, it was just, and then you threw a pick. I mean, come on. Aaron Rodgers don't throw picks. That's one thing he don't throw. And I know it's not his fault. He got his hand on the ball.
I was going to say it's not his fault.
No, it wasn't his fault. But, you know, Aaron Rodgers just doesn't throw picks.
Look, I understand the grade. I understand the expectations, Joy and Paul. But here you are. You have a guy who hadn't played in 2 full seasons of football, coming off an injury against a hell of a defense in San Francisco. So he knows what Bosa and company, the problems they present up front.
Sure.
So he was always, no matter what it was, looking out of the side of his eye, trying to figure it all out. You can give him an incomplete, you can give him a C, but you can't get a man a D. Based on expectations this early in the season. You just can't.
Well, here's my question, though. So the excuses are baked in for week 1, which I'm biting on some of them. But why didn't he play in the preseason then?
Because
like
I can't play him in the preseason.
But now this gear up counts. Like that game counts.
Yeah, but that's okay because we can still come out of the East. We can still come out of the East with 11-win season, 12-win season.
Yeah, I mean today they're last in the AFC East to start.
Yeah, okay. Do you really think New England's going to keep a stranglehold after one game?
I don't know, but I don't think that they looked good either.
Yeah, but I'm saying when you look at it, you can't play your $50 million quarterback in the preseason coming off an ACL. I mean, coming off an Achilles. You cannot, under any circumstance, allow him to get underneath the center. You just can't.
Well, they didn't, and he looked rusty.
And that's okay, because that rust will eventually chip off.
Yeah, by the time that rust chip off, it's going to be too late.
They played the 49ers that was just in a Super Bowl with a dominant defense.
Aren't they supposed to be playing for Super Bowl this year?
No. But my whole point is you got a quarterback coming off an injury, Joy, going up against a defense that is just lights out in a front seven that's crazy. So you can't. You have to protect the situation as much as you can.
Do you think he should have finished the game?
No, not at all. Game over. Come on home with me. It's over. Come stand over here with me.
If you got to knock some of the rust off, finish the game.
No, that's the same as playing in preseason. Game's over.
No, but let's start working on some chemistry.
Paul.
Let's get our rhythm.
Paul, I'm taking you out. Down by 25 with 4 minutes to go in the game. I'm not leaving Paul Pierce in the basketball game.
I need to get a rhythm, coach.
No, it's not happening.
Keep me in the game, coach.
It's not happening. I'm going to get numbers just to be able to say I had 29 and 8.
I would have
liked to see him a little bit in the preseason. The rhythm thing to me is kind of...
You can't.
Well, then, but unfortunately now all these mistakes count.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But you cannot afford to put him out there and for the same thing to happen in the preseason that happened in the start of the regular season a year ago. You cannot do that. There's no way.
I should have just sat him tonight. Monday night, first game. I should have just not even played him, huh? We're going to do all of that.
No, you got to play him. No. He's your starting quarterback making $50 million.
Man.
But you can't play him in the preseason. You can't, Joy.
Okay, well, he didn't play in the preseason. He didn't finish the game.
No, you can't let him finish a
He
blowout.
was 13 of 21, 62% completion percentage, 167 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception.
Yes.
They had 49 total plays on offense compared to 70 plays for the 49ers. Obviously, they looked outmatched. The Niners looked like they were in a whole other class than the Jets yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a rough start, but Rodgers said today that he thinks the Jets will, quote, ascend throughout the season. So do you agree, Key, that they will get better?
I absolutely believe that. I believe that they will continue to get better, especially if Hassan Reddick joins them, which I'm hoping he will here soon.
Well, that should have been their first call when they went as soon as the game ended.
On the plane, texting him or whatever. And they probably have opened up those negotiations or at least conversations to some degree, because usually that's the way it works. A year ago, Chris Jones was at home in week 1, and Kansas City looked like a mess, and Chris Jones was just sitting there laughing, and then all of a sudden, they started dialogue and having a conversation about him again.
And the deal got done, and he was back the next week.
And they went to the Super Bowl. So I'm sure Hassan Reddick and his agents are probably having conversations. But as far as the Super Bowl go, I don't know if they'll get to the Super Bowl this year. I have no idea. But they'll be a better team than they were in week 1, week 9. It has to go that way. Garrett Wilson, another year with Aaron Rodgers in a game. You now have Mike Williams there with Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers. It's just they need the continuity and time to mesh together. They didn't get it in the preseason, which was the plan. That's the plan.
I mean, you would like to think they would. I mean, you look at the weapons on offense. You look at their weapons on defense. I mean, the only concern, Aaron concerns me. He just does. 40 years old and a Achilles injury, like at probably the most important position, and a guy who's, I'm not sure how heavily invested he's really into the team. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is like how he doesn't show up to the preseason OTAs, like not that he has to, how he's going on these Owasaki tours or whatever.
Ayahuasca
tours.
You're thinking about sake too much, man. You could have joined us last night.
These dark caves, and then now he come back and say unexcused absences, and we're talking about winning a Super Bowl?
Yeah, but that's okay. That's all behind them. That's all behind them, Joey. It really is all behind them.
I mean, I don't think they have a winning culture.
Exactly.
So I think that they're behind when it comes to culturally. How can we say
they don't have a winning culture?
Well, they don't win.
They don't win.
How do you have a winning culture and you don't win?
You don't win. They ain't been to the playoffs in how many years? 13?
This is the first
13 years.
Last year was the first time that they, in a long time, had a real quarterback, but he got hurt in week 1. Mm-hmm. This is the first time that they've had a real quarterback and survived past week 1.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say they don't have a winning culture yet.
Well, we don't know yet.
We don't know.
But based on the information we have now,
that's
the way that it
all in
looked
the
last
past,
night,
though.
the way that it looked last year.
It's all in the past.
Yesterday's the past. It's already the past. We got to get through today's show, and then we can talk about it being in the past. But I do think that he is right over the next few weeks. I do think they will look better not going against the 49ers. If we're talking about are they ready to compete for a championship,
nope.
Are they ready to compete against the best in the league? Obviously they're not. They looked terrible last night.
Terrible.
They did not look outclassed. They did not look like they were even able to be on the same field with the Niners last night. But they have the Titans next week.
Yep.
Then they have the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Vikings. And whatever we think about those teams, who were competitive and some got wins this week one, this is a nice stretch to go into coming out of opening Monday Night Football against the Niners.
That's a 4-1 schedule. That's a 4-1 schedule.
Not the way they played last night, but you're assuming that the Niners defense is the reason that they played like that.
Well, it's not just the Niners defense, the Niners offensive line dominated the Jets defense.
Sure.
I mean, it was a 49er performance that derailed the Jets opening night. It was just their performance as a whole.
They were better, particularly in the trenches.
They were better. They just were a better team.
That's fair.
And you got to think, when you talk about the continuity and understanding the different players that he's playing with, the one guy that he did throw the touchdown to, guess what? He has a history with Allen Lazard. So he knows him. He feels his body. He understands it. He's still got to get on the same page with Garrett Wilson, the same page with Mike Williams, the same page with Breece Hall. Like, there's going to be times that it's going to be bumpy. But by the time they get to midseason, it should be smooth.
But you can't drop too many games on
No, you can't, no matter who you are.
Right.
If you're the Dolphins, you can't drop. Whether you're the Bills, the Bengals, Atlanta, whoever, you can't.
We're just putting a lot of faith in that they're just going to dominate these teams during this stretch of Titans, Patriots, Broncos, Vikings.
I think they have better. I think they have
need
better.
to come out of that stretch, like you said, if they're going to have an opportunity to compete in the AFC.
Their roster is better than those teams. They just got to put it together.
Well, since they didn't have any preseason.
We'll see. No preseason.
They knocked all the rust
tours
off. But let's talk about the winners last night.
Saki tours.
Saki tours. After a slow start, Brock Purdy led the Niners on 8 straight scoring drives. Backup running back Jordan Mason stepped in for the injured Christian McCaffrey and ran for 147 yards and a touchdown. The 49ers won easily, despite Brandon Ayuk looking rusty after missing training camp and the preseason. So, Paul, what kind of statement did the Niners make last night?
They made a huge statement. Now, look at Key. Jordan, this is a winning culture right here. The San Francisco 49ers. Plug and play. You miss McCaffrey. Boom. Here come my boy, Jordan.
Mason.
Michael Jordan. I mean, the Jordan of football. I mean, goodness gracious. He just ran over the Jets all night long. They didn't show no resistance. And what I saw last night is a team that knows who they are versus a team who's trying to figure out who they are. And that's the difference. And so I expect that the 49ers, I don't know how they get any better. But you say, how can they get any better? Oh, we didn't have our offensive player of the year. He didn't even play. And we still got him over here. So we can afford to rest him a few more weeks. I mean, they just look head and shoulders just better than the Jets. And it's just...
They're just better.
They're just better.
Shanahan can run the ball with anyone. It doesn't take away the talent of McCaffrey.
Well,
obviously, we know how talented Christian McCaffrey is. But we've seen Kyle Shanahan set up running backs to have a lot of success. And Jordan Mason was unbelievable last night. Took advantage of huge lanes and ran downhill the entire night. 28 carries, 147 rushing yards, and a touchdown. And he really dominated the game. They had lots of nice drives with him. That was really the story of the game because they were able to keep the ball away from Aaron Rodgers and the Jets offense. But I don't know that they made a statement because Christian McCaffrey being out, I thought that their offense might struggle a little bit. It might be a little bit of a slow start, which it was in the beginning of the game. But I've just seen Shanahan be able to run the ball however which way. Like, he's able to do that with different talent. I don't think throughout the entirety of the season they would be the same without Christian McCaffrey. But for one game, to Paul's point, this is a culture. This is a team with talent everywhere. They are excellent in the trenches. And he was able to do what he wanted last night from the run game. So I thought that was very impressive, but it didn't really move me too much that Christian McCaffrey wasn't there in week one in this situation at home.
You know, I originally picked the San Francisco 49ers to win a football game. Then I flipped at the 11th hour because the news came down prior to us leaving the show yesterday. Not yesterday.
Yeah,
yesterday. Yesterday.
Right before the game.
For some reason, I felt like Sunday. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to go with the Jets. I'm just going to take the Jets, which was whatever. It's a mistake. Okay, that's what it is. And in the end, this team, you say, well, what statement did they make to the eyeballs watching? Well, they didn't make it to us. They made it to the rest of the league, much like Kansas City did 2 Thursdays ago when they said, hey, Well, this is us. We here to stay. That's the San Francisco 49ers, minus Christian McCaffrey, minus the lack of preseason Brandon Ayuk had. Brandon Ayuk, 5 targets, 2 catches, a crucial drop in the end zone that in week 4 he catches.
Yeah.
So you start to look at it and saying to yourself, this team, if they can stay on course and stay healthy, between them and Philadelphia, in my opinion, will be one of these 2 teams that come out of the NFC conference to be the representative in New Orleans. Brock Purdy was Brock Purdy. He was very Brock Purdy. He did everything the way he needed to do within Kyle Shanahan's system. He was on point, whatever that means. The system. You're going to always hear that the rest of the year. He's in the system. He's in the system. Okay, well, everybody's in the system. But he runs it to the T. The way that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they want the system run. Something Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo failed to do. This is why he's a starting quarterback. And as long as he's out there and delivering the football in sync, they didn't even get Kittle involved until later in the game.
Yeah.
So you start to look at everything together and you say to yourself, the rest of the league that was watching this game last night said to themselves, damn, they ain't got C-Mac and they still able to run the football down our throats. And that's what the problems are that they present for the defending the defenders that they're going to go up against, and that's what the Jets saw.
Yeah, to your point, the Chiefs, we never know what they're going to look like, and they come out with Xavier Worthy, Christian McCaffrey isn't available, or we got Jordan Mason. The top of the league, they're able to put next man up with the talent that they have around them.
They rushed for $180 last night.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
So if you can run for 180 yards and your quarterback not throw a touchdown, you're going to win a lot of games.
They just looked really, really dominant. I think they're still the team to beat in the NFC.
Ooh.
I like the Lions. I like the Eagles. I think it's going to be competitive down the stretch. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.